Hello, fanatics. It must be Sunday. True crime story time. Okay, so before I get into today's case, brace yourself. Brace yourself. Okay, I am kitting up my Up to No Good. It's my old supplier, so I have to cut the stickers, and I kitted up purely in trays, taking a leaf out of my good friend Done Painting Gamer. I took a leaf out of her book, and it's actually working quite well, which I didn't think it would, because I was like, I'm going to have trouble. I'm very OCD when it comes to kitting up. I like my numbers, my letters, my symbols in a certain order. And obviously in the trays, I've worked around it. Let's put it that way. So just ignore what I'm doing, okay? You carry on crafting or whatever you normally do when you listen to me with my true crime. Just ignore everything going on. It's a little bit chaos. I did have a lot of static, so I was shaking the bags and whatnot. But I've decided to do a true crime over the top of my kitting up, because it's Sunday, and yeah. Now, before I get into today's case, normally, I've got a good one for Halloween. Yeah, I've got a good one for that. But normally my cases date back. My Halloween case, I think it happened in 1922. So, I go back in time, really, with my true crime. But Crafting with Kay sent me a video of a TikTok case, and I've done my research. She was sentenced on the 11th of October, and today's date is what? The 20th. So a week ago, let's put it that way. She was sentenced a week ago. So this is a really, really recent case. And shocking. It is absolutely shocking. Just to give you an insight into what we're going to be dealing with today. Detective Superintendent Rob Kirby of Essex Police. Oh yes, this is on our doorstep, guys. This is on our doorstep. Well, my doorstep. Described this lady as, quote, an intelligent manipulator who chose to do the action we're going to talk about, callously, without a thought for them or those who continue to suffer as a result of their loss. The details of this case shock and horrify even the most experienced of murder detectives, let alone any right-thinking member of the public. End quote. Now, to say this is gruesome is an understatement. To say it is disgusting is an understatement. I did a case for my members only in my true crime, and if you can remember that case, you can always go back to it. It's in my members' videos. That was disgusting. We're kind of on the same level as that. Okay, we're kind of on the same level as that today, but this is a female. So brace yourselves, guys, because okay, let's get into today's case. Because I mean absolutely no disrespect to the victims or their families by diamond painting. It's what I do here on my channel. and I do have a very strong interest in true crime. And the reason I talk about these cases is, one, to let family know that their loved ones are still remembered, and they are being talked about here on my channel. Also to bring awareness, like the domestic violence, and so on and so forth. It's all to bring awareness. I will be talking about criminal conduct that can range in various forms, violence, sexual assault, murder, and the likes. And I mean absolutely no disrespect. All opinions that I do share while discussing the cases are mine and mine alone. I do throw them in there every now and then. All information that I have found to talk about in my episodes is all information that I have found throughout the internet and compiled into one video. It's all my own research, and yeah, I have to say it is for entertainment. I want to say that loosely because it is true crime, but it is for entertainment purposes only that we are discussing these cases. And of course, all suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. I will put this at the beginning of each video because it's a disclaimer of sorts. I do appreciate you joining me. If you enjoy true crime and you enjoy diamond painting, please feel free to hit that subscribe button, and feel free to leave your thoughts and comments down below. I love it when I get interaction on my true crime cases, and yeah, you'll feel free to do that. If you can thumbs up and do all that YouTubey stuff, it really helps get the videos out there, and I do appreciate that. But yeah, without any further ado, let's dive into today's case. And thank you for being here, and thank you for giving me a couple of minutes of your time to kind of put that out there. I do appreciate it. On to today's episode. So as always, obviously I'm not diamond painting today, I'm kitting up a diamond painting, but I would like to begin with the background. It's kind of where I like to begin. Now we have John McCullough, okay? He's a retired business studies lecturer who had worked at Anglia Ruskin University. Just a side note here, I actually applied to Anglia Ruskin, not business studies. I wouldn't have met John, but when I was nursing, that's what I mean by it's very close to home. This is literally up the road from me, where I live. Okay, so John was 70, okay? And his wife, Lois, is 71. They were both in poor health, and they relied on their daughter, and she was their caregiver. Now, John had hypertension. So hypertension is also known as high blood pressure, and it's a long-term medical condition in which the blood pressure in the arteries is persistently elevated. Just to give you a background there. Type 2 diabetes, it was known as adult onset diabetes, and yeah, again, it's high blood sugar, insulin resistance. The body is not producing enough insulin. That's how you get diabetes. high cholesterol. That they've changed the name of that. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. But high cholesterol, which is high levels of in the blood. So he had high blood pressure. He also had glaucoma, which is an eye disease. It leads to damage in the optic nerve. So, Lois, she had agoraphobia, which is a mental and behavioural disorder, specifically an anxiety disorder, where the person perceives their environment to be unsafe with no easy way to escape. So, it can kick in pretty much anywhere. I think it's more if you leave your house, you go into a panic attack. So sometimes I have anxiety around going outside, especially in busy supermarkets. I don't know what that's about because I never used to have it, but crowds, queues, shopping centres, public transport, I can kind of relate to that. I wouldn't diagnose myself as arachnophobic, but she also had traits of obsessive compulsive disorder. Again, it's more mental and behavioural, and they have intrusive thoughts and they feel the need to perform certain routines. So it could be cleaning, it could be pretty much anything. You can put it down to anything. But oh my gosh, this poor couple. They have 5 daughters, and Virginia, who is today's despicable human being, Virginia was the youngest. And in 2019, Virginia had been living rent-free at her parents' house on Pump Hill in Great Baddow. And she told them that she was studying to become an artist, and she was saying that this career would be financially rewarding to the whole family. She was going to make it as an artist. Except, in reality, Virginia, she ran up large credit card debts in her parents' name, not her own, and told them that they had lost all this money to scams. Now, we all know how prevalent scams are these days, but she wasn't far wrong on this point, was she? Because she was scamming her parents. By the time Virginia did what she did, which we're going to talk about, she had built up almost £60,000 worth of debt, and she had forged letters to cover her tracks. Her sisters had described her as, quote, socially awkward and a compulsive liar, end quote. Virginia took it one step further. As you can imagine, this is true crime, and I know she's already committing crimes, essentially, but Virginia took it one step further, and in March 2019, I can imagine that Virginia was getting questioned by her parents, like, how many scams exactly have we had? Do you think we should phone the bank and kind of inquire into all of this? I can only imagine, right? So in March 2019, she actually began planning her parents' murder. And she was accumulating a large amount of prescription drugs. And in May 2019, this is a brutal story. Okay, I will talk about how she done it. It's just disgusting. But in May 2019, she bought a knife. A special knife, like the one in the kitchen wouldn't do. Okay, so she went out and she bought this knife, along with implements to crush up the medication. On the 17th of June in 2019, and having previously used her father as a, quote, guinea pig, she prepared a cocktail of prescription drugs, which she then gave to her parents. John, her dad, his medication was crushed into alcoholic drinks, and he received a large dosage, strong enough to kill him. But Lois, the mum, did not drink alcohol, but she didn't consume a fatal dose because she barely touched alcohol at all. After finding her father dead in bed the next morning and fearing that her mother would find out what she'd done, Virginia then, she essentially drugged and poisoned the dad, okay? And he obviously went to bed and he passed away, and in the morning he was in the bed dead. And now she's worried what her mum's gonna say. Like, you know, she then killed Lois, her mum. She bludgeoned and stabbed her to death while she lay in bed listening to the radio. Virginia then went to her local GP office. Can you get this? This is what I mean. She has just killed her parents and her mum in a brutal fashion, okay? And then she took herself off to the doctors to seek treatment for a cut on her hand that she had sustained while killing her mum. She later drove into Chelmsford and she purchased plastic gloves and sleeping bags using her father's credit card. Then she came home and she set... Oh, if you think this is bad, guys, she set about concealing their bodies. She created a makeshift mausoleum consisting of breeze blocks and sleeping bags in her father's downstairs study, where his body was stored, then concealed, and her mother's body was in an upstairs wardrobe wrapped in a sleeping bag. On the 19th of June, Virginia posed as her mum in order to obtain a new credit card and a PIN number. She then used the card to purchase clothes and jewellery. She went on to construct a series of elaborate stories to explain her parents' absence to relatives and doctors. They were on holiday, they're really poorly, they had retired and moved from the area. Now, that's all well and good, but she's their caregiver, and supposedly, and they just moved. You just let them move, and what, they left you the house? Like, how many houses do they have, right? Anyway, she also deceived relatives by sending birthday cards, gifts, and text messages that kept up the pretense that they were still alive. She continued to live in the house alongside her parents' remains while claiming their state pensions and gambling £21,000. It's actually £21,193 of their money on online betting sites, as well as selling their assets from the property. It would later be disclosed that she had benefited to the sum of £150,000. Conveniently for Virginia, the deception was also helped by the restrictions brought in as a response to the pandemic, which began in 2020. So, she killed her parents in 2019. And she's sending text messages and gifts and birthday cards and making out they're still alive. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. And we all know how that impacted everyone. So, you know, she's obviously still sending text messages and whatnot. You know, but who's really checking on who throughout the pandemic? So she got away with it for that period of time. And she actually got away with it until September 2023. Virginia just kept cancelling medical appointments. You know, oh, my dad's not well. Oh, no, my mum, she's away on holiday. She kept making excuses. So the GP actually contacted the safeguarding team at Essex County Council to raise concerns about the couple's welfare because, you know, who knows what's going on, right? And good on them, because it would normally slip through the net, but this GP was obviously on it. They were obviously regulars and they needed their medications for all of their various things. But the GP's concern had also been aroused because John had failed to collect a regular prescription. So she forgot about that one. The council subsequently contacted Essex Police to report the doctor's concerns, and they did this on the 13th of September, okay? They initially treated the case as a missing persons investigation. Officers spoke to Virginia, who told them that her parents were travelling and would be returning in October. But officers, they're trained, okay? If they think that you're bluffing, they can usually tell. But they became suspicious. They became suspicious of just how she was. And on the 15th of September, Essex Police executed a search warrant for John and Lois's home. They actually broke into the house and arrested Virginia. Virginia wasted no time, okay? She got the jigs up, okay? She confessed to killing her parents, and she actually told officers, quote, "I did know that this day would come eventually. I deserve to get what's coming, sentence-wise, because that's the right thing to do." And then That might also give me a bit of peace." End quote. She also attempted to joke with investigators, and at one point she told them to, quote, "Cheer up. At least you caught the bad guy." During questioning, Virginia told investigators how she had beaten her mother to death, telling officers the act was, quote, "like someone badly playing the xylophone or something," end quote. She also told detectives the location of a knife she had used as a murder weapon, as well as, oh my gosh, she also used a hammer, and she told them where that was and said, it will still have blood on it. Virginia was charged with 2 counts of murder and appeared before magistrates on the 18th of September, where she remained in custody. On the 19th of September, she appeared at Basildon Crown Court via a video link from Peterborough Prison, where Judge Samantha Lee set a plea hearing for the 1st of December. An inquest into the deaths was opened by Essex coroner Michelle Brown on the 10th of October and adjourned pending the outcome of the police investigation. However, the hearing was told that Lois had died from stab wounds to the chest, while the cause of death for John, whose body was found by police on the 16th of September, was given as pending further investigation. On the 1st of December, Virginia appeared at Chelmsford Crown Court, again via video link from prison, but did not enter a plea, with her defence arguing more time was needed to prepare reports from expert witnesses. Judge Christopher Morgan set the 5th of February 2024 as the date of the next hearing, with a deadline of the 1st of February for the defence to prepare its reports. She appeared in court again via video link on the 9th of February and was further remanded in custody pending on a hearing on the 1st of March. On the 1st of March, a hearing was held and Morgan, the judge, set a trial date for the 7th of October. At a hearing on the 4th of July, Virginia pleaded guilty to both counts of murder, and a sentencing date hearing was scheduled to begin on the 10th of October. It was actually the 11th of October that the sentencing took place. The hearing was presided over by Mr. Justice Johnson, with Lucy Wilding acting for the prosecution and Christine Agnew acting for the defence. Now, the prosecution told the court that Virginia, quote, was actively engaged in fraud and deception well before the murders, end quote, and that Virginia and her parents were all in debt because of her, I might add. Following the murders, quote, her attention switched to deceiving the outside world, end quote. The hearing was told that Virginia quote, continued to receive John's teacher's pension and spent it. And that transcripts from calls even show her masquerading as her father. She used their credit cards and opened further accounts in their names. End quote. The court also heard that 2 days after the murders, Virginia placed an order with B&Q, which is like a home renovation store here. I don't know. You can buy all sorts of home renovations. Builders go there for their supplies as well. It's kind of a thing. Now, she went to them online, and she bought 40 building blocks, cement and sharp sand. She also bought Gorilla Tape and a stepladder. The prosecution described the structure containing John's remains as being in the corner of the room, with its sides composed of masonry blocks stacked together and secured with white filler, forming a rectangular tomb with the end closest to the internal door, composed of panels of wood. The hearing was also told that the structure was covered with multiple blankets and a number of pictures and paintings over the top. The body itself was wrapped in a sleeping bag and concealed with at least 11 layers of plastic and other material. The prosecution described the pandemic and the resulting limited medical contact as a stroke of luck in pursuing the deception. Following her arrest, Virginia had alleged her parents were abusive, but the claims were rejected by her siblings, who described them as lies and a disgusting misrepresentation to our family. Like, there's no end of malice with this girl. She bludgeoned her mum. She poisoned or drugged and poisoned her dad. Then deliberately hid the bodies within the house. And then she's telling her sisters, like, oh my God, you know, they were really abusive. 70 and 71. I mean, the defence told the hearing that Virginia was her parents' primary caregiver and that both had physical and mental health issues. She argued that Virginia's quick admission of guilt was a move, quote, to prevent distress to John and Lois's family. The hearing was also told that Virginia had been diagnosed with paranoia and autism. The defence told the court that Virginia, quote, not using her autism for an excuse for what she did, but that it did in some way explain her actions. Seriously? See, to me, that's a slap in the face with everyone who has autism. And they're just clinging to straws at this point, aren't they? Judge Johnson sentenced Virginia to life imprisonment, and he told her that, quote, She had robbed her parents of dignity in death. Your conduct amounted to a gross violation of the trust that should exist between parents and their children." End quote. He ordered that she must serve a minimum of 36 years in prison before being considered for parole. He took the decision not to impose a whole life tariff. This is a tricky one. I know a whole life tariff is very, very rare in the UK. I talked about that on the nurse episode. There's only been a handful of people who has ever got that, but he took that off the table and considered it as a last resort. And the judge told Virginia, quote, "Having regard to all the circumstances of the case, including your immediate admissions to the police and your guilty pleas when you were first arraigned, this is not one of those cases of the most exceptional seriousness where a whole life order as a sentence of last resort is required." End quote. She will become eligible for parole, but she will be eligible to be considered for parole on the 3rd of October in 2059. That's how recent this case is. Her parole or to be considered for parole will be in 2059. Like, what? The judge also ruled that her mental health conditions did not substantially reduce her culpability, and that she had committed murders done for gain after prolonged economic abuse of her parents. Thank you for taking that autism excuse off the table. As I said in the beginning of this video, following the sentencing, Detective Superintendent Rob Kirby of Essex Police described Virginia as an intelligent manipulator who chose to kill her parents without a thought for them or for their families, basically. The details of this case shock and horrify even the most experienced of murder detectives. Oh my gosh. Nicola Rice of the Crown Prosecution Service said the case was, quote, "truly disturbing and had left behind a trail of devastation. I can only hope that the sentence passed today will help those who loved and cared for Lois and John begin to heal." End quote. A joint statement was issued by the victim's family, because bearing in mind she had 4 brothers and 4, I don't know if they were all sisters, but she had 4 siblings. Quote, "Our family has been left devastated and heartbroken at the deaths of our parents, who were taken from us so cruelly. As we try to move forward with our lives, we will remember the happy times we enjoyed with them. Our mum and dad are forever in our hearts and are loved and missed beyond any measure." And there you go. Yeah, absolutely disgusting. So Virginia McCullough is a British convicted murderer serving life imprisonment for the murder of her parents, John and Lois McCullough, who were poisoned with prescription medication and battered and stabbed to death in the case of Lois at their home in Great Baddow, which is in Essex. I just want to see... Oh, it's in Chelmsford. It's in the Chelmsford borough. Oh my gosh. God. Pretty scary. In June 2019, Virginia then constructed a makeshift tomb for her father, made from bruised blocks and sleeping bags, while she stored her mother's body in a wardrobe. It makes me wonder, like, obviously she had the whole house, right? How come the mum, who suffered the most severely, was put in the wardrobe, but her dad, she kind of built a tomb for him? You know, she built like this fake wall and put him behind that. Why didn't she put them together? I'm trying to get into the head of a deranged person, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. But neither does killing your parents. So it was also wrapped in a sleeping bag. Virginia... Oh, I don't know if I told you this. I don't know if you did the math while I was talking, but Virginia lived in that house with her parents' bodies for 4 years until she was arrested by Essex Police in September 2023. I don't know if you connected the dots in that, but 4 years. Like, OMG. She pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder at her pre-trial hearing at Chelmsford Crown Court on the 4th of July 2024, and sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 36 years at a hearing on the 11th of October, which was just last week. So, yeah. As always, I'm getting upset now, like, my heart goes out to John and Lois's family, except Virginia, and their friends, because this is so very recent. Normally I don't cover these kind of cases, but Crafty McKay, she sent me a TikTok, and it was being talked about there, and it said that she had lived with the bodies for 4 years, and I was like, no way. And it's like that Todd guy, he did the same, didn't he? He murdered his family, but at least he only lived with them like over the Christmas period or whatever it was. I've covered a lot of true crime, but 4 years that she lived in that house, and just, I don't even know, I can't even imagine what the mentality behind it. Like, she had to continue, you know, text messaging and birthday stuff and everything. I'm sorry, it's really, really, really shocking. But there you go, that is today's case. I mean, I can't even, yeah, I can't even. I do have a video clip of Virginia when, I don't know what, again, the police are banging on your door, and you can imagine that, oh no, this is it. Do you know what I mean? But they had to break the door down. I did say that earlier, but they did break the door down. They found her inside. And then the police body cam just recorded footage of her. I'll insert it here for you.
Sorry. The police! Stay where you are! Stay where you are, show your hands.
Yep.
The time is 12:12. You're under arrest on suspicion of murder.
I need to tell you something about what's upstairs on the top floor as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, mind your feet.
My dad's body's in there.
Right, okay.
Yep, okay. Obviously I'll
Where about your mum?
a little bit more complicated.
Where will we find your mum?
Well, possible.
Where will we find your mum?
Okay, so upstairs there were about 5 wardrobes.
Yep.
It's behind the bed at the back next to the sink. He didn't drink all of them. He only drank probably about half of 2. But yeah, when I went in the morning, this was before my mother, came in and he was gone. I did know that this would kind of come eventually. It's proper that I serve my punishment. Cheer up, at least you caught the bad guy. I mean, I deserve to obviously get whatever's coming sentence-wise, because that's the right thing to do. And that might give me a bit of peace.
The next bit is very hard to talk about. That's probably the most grisly detail. There's a hammer. It's in the middle underneath the stairs. It will still have blood on it. It's rusted, but it will still have blood traces.
Like, wow. I have no words. I know we talk about a lot of despicable humans in my true crime library. It's my playlist, but I don't know. I mean, she's like only in her 30s, I think. Was it 36 that she was? And then she's like, cheer up, you caught the bad guy. While telling them where to find the bodies. It's just, I don't know. I really don't know. I did find another article that says pretty much what I've covered, but what was all this for? Clothes and jewellery? Seriously? A greengrocer, his name is Paul Hastings, at a shopping centre near the home, also noticed their disappearance. He was told by Virginia that her parents, who went there quite regularly, were no longer living in Great Baddow. They moved away. And he pretty much said that her peculiar nature meant that she could say things without arousing suspicion, because she was always odd. You know, people just saw her as a little bit odd. But she came in the shop and she said to him, "The police are after me. They think I killed my mum and dad." I thought, that's a bit odd. But I didn't think anything else of it. I just thought it was her eccentric nature. He went on to explain that Virginia would sometimes visit his shop 4 times a day before disappearing for the next fortnight. We all knew she was a bit odd. I would have dreamt that she would ever be capable of doing what she actually did, says Debbie. I think she had a flower shop. She actually lived in that house all those years with her mum and dad's remains in there. It horrifies me, just horrifies me. It does us. we listen to a lot of true crime, various cases, various despicable people, but to live knowing that you've murdered your parents, I just can't get my head around actually living in the house. And then they like, well, where's your mum? Or where's your mum? And she's like, now that one's a bit more complicated. Just to put a bit of perspective on this, right? Virginia said, quote, she looked so innocent, she just sat there listening to the radio. I did go in 3 times to build up some gumption, but I knew I had to get it done and can't hesitate. She was just staring at me in disbelief. She wasn't even asleep. She was sat up in bed and Virginia just came out with a hammer. How horrific. Now, in most cases, people like, I don't know if Virginia drove or not, I haven't got a clue, but people have put bodies in suitcases and got rid of them, or they have put them in the car and got rid of them. She lived in the house with them for 4 years, and she would have continued living there if the GP hadn't have said, can someone do a welfare check on these two, because he's not picking up his, much needed medication for his hypertension and stuff. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know. But of course, my heart goes out to John and Lois and their family and friends. Wow. There you go. I'm going to leave it here, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, leave your thoughts and comments down below. Please be very mindful, that this is a very, very recent case. Yeah. But, oh my gosh. She's just gross. She's just despicable. I have no other word for it. I think I'm struggling because, one, I have a mum, and I wouldn't dream of harming her in any way. And, she's, as every parent does, when you have a child and you have to raise them and clothe them, feed them, you sacrifice part of your life to raise your child. On the other hand, I have 2 children of my own, and I would, not that they would, I'm pretty sure Virginia's parents said the same thing, but I have 2 children, and for them to just turn on me and then just hide me in the house and pretend to everybody that I'm poorly or I'm on holiday, or it's scary. It's scary. But I know. I think that's just kind of why I'm struggling with this one. Because I can see it. I'm a daughter and I'm a mum. And I wouldn't... It's hard, isn't it? It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one to kind of get your head around. And to just be hidden in the house is, I don't know. It's horrible. A despicable human being. But there you go. Thank you for keeping me company, and yeah. However, next week we are going to Germany, and we're going all the way back to, I think, don't quote me today, but I think it's 1922. Yeah, I thought that might be ideal leading up to Halloween. What will be the date of next week's true crime? Let me just grab my phone here. Next week's true crime. Oh, it's the 27th. Yeah, so we'll do that for Halloween. We'll go to Germany because that is a very, very interesting unsolved case. So there's no conviction on that one, but I will see you there when we go to Germany. Okay, just before I log off for this episode, I would like to thank each and every one of my YouTube members. I do appreciate you. A massive, the names are going across the screen as I chat, but a massive thank you to Crafting with Kay. Yeah, for this episode suggestion, oh my gosh, thanks for that. Yeah, because it's so close to home as well. We were like, wait, what? She did what? In Chelmsford? Like, what? Yeah. And I lived with her mum and dad still for 4 years. It's the mum. You know, the dad was poisoned, passed away in his sleep, and the mum was sitting up in bed listening to the radio, and she walked in with a hammer. It's terrifying. Anyway, I'm out of here. I have talked long enough about Virginia McCullough. Go do something light-hearted, please, because this one has been very heavy, and yeah. Okay, I'm out of here. Thank you, guys, and I will see you next week when we go to Germany. Goodbye. Stay safe.